What's the most terrified you've been by a commanding officer's silence? I found out when I accidentally crashed a $2 million Humvee through the motor pool fence at Fort Riley. I was 19, fresh out of basic training, pulling my first solo driving assignment. Simple task. Move 3 vehicles from the maintenance bay to the storage lot. Everything was going fine until vehicle number 2. I'm backing up this massive armored Humvee when I hear this awful scraping sound. Figured it was just the backup alarm. Kept going. Then came the crash. I'd somehow missed the gate entirely and driven straight through 50 feet of chain link fence. Fence posts bent like pretzels. Wire wrapped around the axles. The vehicle was stuck, engine smoking, completely immobilized. Worst part, the base commander's car was parked right where I'd intended to stop. Paint scraped off the entire driver's side. His personal vehicle, a brand new BMW. Within minutes, half the base showed up. Military police, maintenance crews, even the fire department. Everyone staring at this 19-year-old who just caused what looked like a small war zone. My squad leader took one look and said 4 words that chilled my blood. Go see Colonel Martinez. Now. The walk to his office felt like a death march. Other soldiers stepped aside, shaking their heads. Word travels fast on a military base. By the time I reached headquarters, everyone knew what I'd done. His secretary wouldn't even look at me, just pointed toward his door. You're expected inside. I knocked twice. Come in. I stepped into that office expecting to face a hurricane of screaming. Instead, Colonel Martinez was sitting behind his desk, reading a report. He didn't look up, didn't acknowledge me at all, just kept reading while I stood at attention, sweating through my uniform. The silence stretched on. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. I could hear the wall clock ticking, air conditioning humming, my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Still nothing. He turned a page, kept reading. I started imagining my court-martial, reduction in rank, massive fines, dishonorable discharge. My parents' disappointment when I came home in disgrace after 3 weeks of service. The silence was worse than any screaming match. At least when someone yells, you know where you stand. This felt like psychological torture. He was making me cook in my own fear. Finally, after what felt like an hour but was probably 10 minutes, he set down the report, looked directly at me. His face was completely neutral, impossible to read. Private Williams, he said calmly. Yes, sir. You damaged my personal vehicle. Yes, sir. You destroyed government property. Yes, sir. You caused approximately $50,000 in damages. Yes, sir. Another long pause. The silence returned, even heavier than before. I was mentally preparing for the worst punishment in military history. Then he did something completely unexpected. Started laughing. Not a cruel laugh, but genuine amusement. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a thick folder. Want to know something interesting? This is the 47th incident report I've received this year involving that exact fence. 47 different soldiers have hit it, scraped it, or gotten confused by the layout. You're just the first one who went completely through it. He stood up, walked to his window overlooking the motor pool. I've been requesting better signage and barriers for 8 months. Paperwork keeps getting lost somewhere up the chain. Bureaucracy at its finest. He turned back to me. Your little demolition project just gave me the ammunition I need. By tomorrow, that entire area gets redesigned with proper markings and concrete barriers. As for my car, insurance will cover it. Gives me an excuse to get something more practical anyway. He sat back down, picked up his pen. You're getting extra duty for a month. Motor pool maintenance? Learn how to drive properly before you touch another vehicle. But unofficially, you just solved a safety problem that's been bugging me for months. Report to Sergeant Rodriguez at 0600 tomorrow. That was it. No court-martial, no discharge, just extra duty and the most terrifying 10 minutes of silence I'd ever experienced. Turned out the colonel had been waiting for exactly this kind of incident to force a policy change. 6 months later, they installed new signs, painted lines, and built concrete barriers around that entire area. Never had another fence incident after that. The colonel got his practical car, a pickup truck that he actually preferred. Last week I drove past that same motor pool. There's a small plaque near the fence that reads, Williams Memorial Barrier System S 2019. Apparently they named it after me.